top. 604, UConn minus the 8.5. 607, Northern Illinois plus the 20. 611, Central Michigan plus 5.5. 617, Oklahoma plus 15, plus 14. 626, TCU plus the 8.5. 631, Air Force plus 9.5. 635, Illinois plus 4.5. 643, South Carolina plus 3.5, plus 3. Added games, North Florida plus the 4. Don't have any totals for you today, but I do have 2 props in the Illinois-Wisconsin game. Illinois-Wisconsin. First up, Kasparis Jarasionis, I believe, under 19.5 points, up to minus 140. So they laid 120, 130, now 140 on under 19.5 points. And also on Stephen Kroll, Crowl, under half a 3-point field goal made, again, up to minus 130 on that. So the 3-point field goals made is a half for him, and they bet under up to minus 130. So there's 2 player props in the same game, Illinois versus Wisconsin for you.
Michigan State, 20-5 on the season, 9-16 to the under. They're minus 3.5 against Purdue. The total here, 148.5. Jesse, how should the people listening to this show bet this game?
Well, it's that time of year, Prez. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty in college basketball, conference tournaments just around the corner. And I'm going to focus on the total in this game. This number looks a little inflated when you really examine the magnitude of this game. These are 2 of the top teams in the Big Ten. Michigan's in first place. You got Michigan State a game back and Purdue 1.5 games out of first. Purdue coming in off back-to-back losses. I kind of lean Michigan State here if I was going to take this side. But as I mentioned, I'm looking at the total. Purdue has owned Sparty over the recent seasons, winning 9 of the last 10 head-to-head meetings. But let's look at the last 3 games these teams played in East Lansing. A 64-63 game in 2023, 68-65 in 2022, and 55-54 in 2021. And then you're looking at this number of 148.5. Sparty is one of the better defensive teams in the Big Ten. They're only giving up 67.5 points per game. They're at home. I think this is a good spot for Michigan State. I think they'll dictate the pace. I think at this time of year, a Michigan State team that's gone under in 64% of their games this year, 16 of 25 games going under the total. I'll go under 148.5 in this game, Prez. Well, I guess you don't have to bet a game like this, but if you are going to bet this game, I'm with you, Prez. Florida should steamroll here. Oklahoma is an interesting case study, their first year in the SEC. They won 13 straight games. They were ranked number 12 in the country after going undefeated in non-conference play. During that span, they had 2 wins over ranked teams, one of them being the Michigan Wolverines that we just talked about in the Big Ten, the first place team in the Big Ten. Then they enter SEC play, and they just get steamrolled. 3 wins in 12 games in SEC play so far. And it's a case study that sort of suggests the SEC is the number 1 conference in the country. You look at this Florida team, you look at their last 4 home wins. They win by 19, 21, 24, and 30. Florida's won 7 of their last 8 overall. And Oklahoma is coming off a devastating home loss in a game that was a very winnable game against LSU, setting them up for a letdown here on the road at Florida. Don't expect much pushback from Oklahoma here. I think Florida should roll, and I think the line of 13.5 is a little short.
This line has just gotten out of control. So, all right, so let's start with Mansour Abdul Malik. Comes off a Contender Series, looks great, but man, did he beat up a pretty bad opponent. He goes and makes his UFC debut. He beats up Todorovic and gets the first round knockout halfway through the first round. Todorovic was attempting to wrestle him, and Malik was getting a little bit tired in that UFC debut. He wasn't pushed in his Contender Series debut, so he still had enough knockout power in round 2. This guy's never seen the third round, though. I have real questions about his cardio. Now we go to Nick Klein, who makes his UFC debut, or I'm sorry, his Contender Series debut on very, very short notice. And Prez, it was amazing. He was not ready to fight. He hadn't planned on fighting. He got the call. He said, yes, I'll fight. The ref says fight, and he runs over and surprises the guy, kicks him and grabs the guy's neck and doesn't let go, and the guy has to tap in like 30 seconds. Then Nick Klein does this amazing interview. It was so emotional. He's talking about his family. We see his daughter. The guy's magnetic. So now we get Nick Klein making his debut. Nick Klein is a wrestler and a grappler, and Malik is a very dangerous striker, but also a dangerous striker with questionable cardio. Nick Klein, this is a guy he's got that it factor, and I am fully prepared that he could get knocked out really, really quick by a superior striker. But if Nick Klein works the wrestling and works the grappling and gets Malik tired, he is going to win rounds 2 and 3, and don't be surprised if he pulls off a submission. This plus 550 is too good to not have a little bit of a sprinkle. This will be real quick. Afghanistan over South Africa, huge bowling edge. South Africa blows it all the time. Afghanistan's got one of the best bowlers around, and this is a massive bowling advantage. I think Paul did a great job breaking down the pitch and everything. So plus 170, can't pass that up.
For an outright bet to look at the other group, because here it's close. It's Australia, England, South Africa, and Afghanistan. Now, for me, South Africa and Afghanistan are huge value. I think they're massively underestimated. There's a lot of reputation betting going on here. Because, first of all, you look at Australia, they've got a virtual second string team out. Virtually their whole bowling attack is injured.
Yeah.
Out for one reason or another. So I can't have them. England, they have gone out in the betting and they have got a bit of pedigree, but they're a mess. They're a mess, absolutely. And I think that psychologically they're a mess. Like they've thrown away a lot of good situations recently. So for me, I think South Africa have got a fabulous chance. The only thing counts against them is that they've failed so many times in big tournaments. But I think this particular generation of South African players is the best they've ever had. I think they're second only to India in terms of their depth. They're already in the World Test Championship final coming up, which is a new peak for them. And they did that despite many, many injuries throughout the Test season. And I think they're a better one-day side. And, you know, I look at that batting lineup, Heinrich Klaassen, Tristan Stubbs, Ryan Rickelton, Ratty van der Dussen. These guys are superstars. And I think it's going to be a lot of runs in this tournament, a lot of big totals. And I can't see anyone other than India who's more capable of getting to the 375, 400. So I like them. But I also like Afghanistan.
Plus 1,600.
Yeah, they're always underestimated because they're newbies. But look at the last few tournaments. They're coming of age. In the World Cup, they were very good, and they only really didn't qualify for the semis because Australia pulled off a miracle against them. And then they reached the semis of the T20 World Cup. And now they're in this. I think this is their ideal format. You know, they're more or less at home playing in Asia. They haven't got any injury problems. First choice side. There's a bit of a doubt about the batting. It's not that strong, but it's quite deep. But I think regarding the bowling attack, I think it's arguably the best bowling attack in it. Right? Rashid Khan, best spinner in it. Fazal Haq Faruqi, superb pace bowler. Noor Ahmed, a good up-and-coming spinner. They've got a lot of good all-rounders. So I absolutely think they could upset the odds, and they're going to be good value when they play England and then against Australia. Whether they can win the tournament or not, it's a big ask, but I think they're the value. Okay, so the first match is Pakistan v New Zealand. We're going minus 140 Pakistan, plus 120 New Zealand. I am a New Zealand backer. I think that at best should be a 50-50 game, and I think they've got a lot of momentum, very reliable in big tournaments, New Zealand. So I'd definitely go with the outsider there. And as a prop in that bet, I like Kane Williamson to get over 33.5 runs. He's in excellent form, perfect format. I think that Karachi would be a very good batting track. So everything's set up for him. Match 2 is probably a mismatch, which is India v Bangladesh. The only bet I really like here, I like Shubman Gill to be top India batsman. He's opener. He averages 60. He just beat 60 in the last 3 games against England. And I think, especially if they bat second India, they'll win that match easily, and it might just boil down to him versus the other opener or the top three top batsmen. I'll go with him. Right. In the third match, which is Afghanistan-South Africa, tricky match, that one. I am going to go for Heinrich Clatton to be top South Africa batsman for plus 400. Reason being that he's the best batsman against spin in the world, and you're going to see a lot of spin from Afghanistan. Probably 30 out of 50 overs will be spin. So I think he's primed to go well. Also, this is his best form out of 50 overs when he gets a bit of time to settle in. And the fourth game is Australia v England. Two old rivals. As I was saying, I'm not convinced by either of them. But what I do think is a really good player, and this might be the best player of the first round, is big runs. It's at Lahore. Lahore is the best of the four venues in the competition for runs. And I think you're going to be looking at really 350 plus in the first innings.
Wow.
So I think you can get 590-ish for total runs. In that, I think that will go overs. I think you'll get over 11.5 sixes. To add to that, I think they're both much better with the bat than they are with the ball. I mean, Australia's bowlers look very ordinary. England have got very powerful batsmen. They are capable of getting those big scores. And likewise, Australia's batting is a lot better than their bowling. The batting's fine, actually. That's not their problem. It's their lack of bowlers. So I think big scores in that game.